Okay, okay. It's Friday, and we got ourselves a little blog update. Immortal Empire's race update here for what's going to be happening, how it's going to change the Immortal Empire's beta, and how it is going to change the vampire counts, the Lizardmen, the Dark Elves, and the Norska. It's 4 races that are kind of getting like, I don't want to say an old world overhaul because I say that in the paragraph below here, that it's not quite that scale, but it's more of a chance to kind of bring them up to speed a little bit more. As we read through here, just updates to the series in the form of new mechanics, overhauled game systems, and a host of new foes to face, meaning that many races required substantial adaptations to survive in a fresh new world of war and politics. As such, while these updates won't be quite to the same scale as what you'll see with the Warriors of Chaos, again, that's an old world style update, they will nonetheless evolve their playstyle in important and meaningful ways. So that's the name of the game here in this video. We'll be going over this, the blog post, talking about all 4 of these factions and how Immortal Empires is going to give them a little bit of a facelift. Now, again, we do know that Immortal Empires is coming August 24th or something, right? The end of August, and that's the date, I think they said in the trailer, or whatever the hell. So we're almost to the day a month away, and in that time, we're going to probably get tons of information more on CAC, also known as Champions of Chaos, this Immortal Empire's beta, and also the FLCs that are going to be accompanying everything. So be on the lookout for more of that information as things kind of unfold, digress, proceed. And speaking of proceeding, let's go further now into the vampire counts. So everyone's favorite bloodsuckers were in a difficult place coming out of Warhammer 2, mainly relying on a devastating 2-punch combo of free skeleton armies and the evisceration of their enemy with winds of death. So things are changed. So the headline, free skeletons are gone. You'll still have ways to make them, grave dirt cheap, but not the same extent as before. We know this is a big change, when that might disappoint some people, but it's not only distorted the vampire counts gameplay too much, but made much of the roster obsolete, particularly in conjunction with the reduced supply line penalties. So to make up for the loss, this is what has been kind of done here. So across the board, balance changes to the roster. Leadership increases to most units. This prevents them from crumbling, of course, because these are undead. These are not mortal units. They will not flee, but it reduces that crumbling mechanic a little bit. Adjustments to ethereal units and the ability to recruit Mourn Gulls in a campaign if you own the Vampire Coast DLC. So it's a bit of a like, again, it's kind of like a bit of a catch-22 there, right? Like, oh, do you want your vampire counts to play super awesome? Well, you need the Vampire Coast DLC, a DLC you might not have an interest in. But the Mourn Gulls are very good anti-infantry AP units that are just devastating. Improvements to raise dead pools, which now offer better units by default and scale up with vampiric corruption, making them less reliant on battle sites. That's actually very nice that it scales with the corruption rather than having a larger size battle that you can directly pull from. I actually do very much like that improvement. Reshuffle of recruitment buildings with many units now available earlier and more easily. Hopefully that applies to Graveguard, because I've always personally found in my vampire counts playthroughs that Graveguard are a little bit higher of a tech because they have so many requirements attached to them. Revamped tech, skill, and bloodline effects to give the race access to powerful new effects such as increased healing caps and extra winds of magic. So a very nice change there. Now, as far as individual lords here, Vlad and Isabella von Karstein are dedicated faction blog, but don't worry, Manfred and the Necromancer lords will have their time in the sun or moon. So for Manny von Karst, what we're getting here is it has also received increased magic reserves in his Master of the Black Arts ability. Now boosts his spell mastery by 25%. Helman Gorst, starting in the Haunted Forest, now starts mounted on his corpse cart, which is huge. Can acquire skills that enhance his aura abilities, granting powerful faction-wide buffs to zombies. And if you want to drown the world in rotting flesh while watching from the back of your sweet ride, he's a legendary lord for you. Come on down to Tokyo Drift. Now, Henrik Kemmler also has a bit of a change here. It will now be his permanent summon by default. So prior to this, Krell was a summon that you had to go through a little skill line to get to a permanent placement on the battlefield. Now it's there by default, which is nice. While Kemmler's skill tree serves to supercharge Krell's combat stats. So rather than boosting his ability to stay on the battlefield, and I guess in some ways it actually boosts his ability to stay on the battlefield because it changes combat stats, but still, you see that line for Krell is now replacing it and going more for combat effectiveness of Krell. Next up is the Lizard Bros. And first things first, There's no geomantic web update. The geomantic web is still pretty much the same, other than a few adjustments to reward you for fulfilling the great plan. We fully recognize that it's ripe for a more substantial update and hope to find an opportunity to do so in the future. So hopefully there's some sort of cool DLC or FLC chance that gives Lizardmen an overhaul to a pretty dated and terrible mechanic. And I'm hoping that kind of comes sooner rather than later. But with that being said, we do have some cool things that are going to be happening. So with skinks, now as long as it's been requested, Tahana now unlocks Regiments of Renown units by leveling up, and will also be able to use his Sacrificial Pyramid to generate extra Blessed Spawning units. His Chameleonic Comrade, I guess that's the term, Oxyotl, will be receiving new missions to hunt down and eliminate the new demonic enemies, because of course we've got plenty more now added into the game, who recently arrived on the Immortal Empire's map, and his mission durations will now scale with campaign difficulty, making it harder to thwart chaos if you choose to play at harder levels, that is. So that's nice to see with them. Now with the Saurus Bros, Gorok and Korokgar, we have some different things as well. Both Saurus characters also get revamped Lord and faction effects to account for this. And I should probably read the preceding sentence. The Stalwart Saurus will also benefit from changes that help them take on the demonic hordes in battle. Their innate primal instincts ability kicks in earlier, granting them greater bonuses and no longer triggering their rampage. Both Saurus characters also get revamped Lord and faction effects to account for this, in addition to helping them develop their own playstyles. Krokgar will focus on creating a coterie of elite Saurus characters with major buffs for Old Bloods and Scar veterans, while Gorok will enjoy new effects that lean into his defensive nature. While his unique right no longer makes Sauruses unbreakable, it now grants them barrier, as well as immunity to hostile weapon effects like poison, a perfect boon for taking on it. That's actually that's a solid trade-off, to be totally honest. Unbreakable is amazing, but I'll take barrier and being immune to poison. That's really nice. Now for Slann with Lord Croak, he does have a skill tree tweak to fit the new magic system in Warhammer 3 while gaining access to powerful effects like barrier and increases to their winds of magic capacity. On top of that, good old Mazdamundi will also receive a whopping 50% range increase to all of his spells, being for a frog of such continent shifting power. Now for Nakai, we also get some changes here. He'll enjoy balanced changes, including tech tree updates to boost his economy, as well as new and improved benefits upon constructing temples of the old one. He'll also benefit from the fundamental improvements to diplomacy that were introduced in Warhammer 3. Of course, how the AI interacts with vassal factions, this is going to be crucial because he now starts in Cathay up against the Cathayan Wonder Twins with, not Skrulk, what's his name? Snikch, as well as the Kraken Lord himself just to his north. So having assistance with the AI vassalization things is going to be absolutely huge. Next up, we have the Dark Elves, probably the one I'm more excited about on the list because, they're elves. Next, let's turn to Druchii, who, in addition to being a prime position to benefit from the new sea lanes, have seen big changes to their slaves mechanic, a mechanic that people want changed for a long time. So, in Warhammer 3, slaves are now considered a faction-level resource rather than something you stow in a province. Slaves can now be spent at numerous buildings to generate income or invest in 3 powerful slave dictats. I read something entirely different, to benefit a specific province. So for a long while, the Druchii had a very complicated relationship with chaos, so influx of demonic factions has led to a few notable changes. Morathi now gets unique interaction with Slaanesh corruption and can even recruit demonettes, while Malice's possession ability now allows for more frequent use of Zarkhan, interacts differently with the new corruption types. I'm curious to see how that works too. Last of all, Rakarth can now capture and tame a host of new beasts, including saber tusks and feral bears. Rakarth got an in-depth spotlight on our recent Q&A with I didn't know that. I didn't read that Q&A. Shit. Worst YouTuber ever. Next, we have Norska. Now, I think of everyone on this list, Norska not only needs like a facelift, they also need an old world update. So, and they've said that, hey, we're not going to forget an old world update for Norska. So that is kind of nice to know. But let's talk cold, angry, and primed to raid. Norska had a somewhat tumultuous entry into the series with their unique ability to construct outposts instead of regular settlements. Built on the foundation of the climate-locked occupations of Warhammer 1, this design did not make a graceful transition to Warhammer 2, where it was originally designed to grant them unparalleled flexibility, and instead became their greatest weakness. Not to mention the fact that it took like 5 months for them to get into the game, but it's neither here nor there. So if you take one thing home when you're done raiding these shores, it's the fact that Norska is now a regular occupation faction with access to their complete building tree anywhere in the world. That is a lovely improvement. So that's a big one, but let's take a look at these other little ditties here. So we now get different devotion to the gods. So full dedication to the crow no longer causes maybe an omitted. Well, I guess maybe A, because it's the It's G is consonants. Admittedly mostly impotent global plague. Rather, you will be joined by Burple Smirk Spew Pit, the exalted great unclean one. For Khorne or Hound, you get the you no longer get the Iceforge Legion, but now you get Kilgore Slaymaim, an exalted hero of Khorne. That's pretty nice. All reward characters grant their army an incredibly powerful boon that twists their battle profile to align closer to the Dark God's ideal forces. For example, Azric's forces enjoy access to barriers, magical weapons, and global winds of magic generation benefits. Ooh. If you just had the terrifying realization that we didn't say where the Iceforge Legion went, well, don't worry. Your favorite Hell Cannon battery has become a regular Regiment of Renown unit that unlocks once you reach the appropriate level. I do like that a lot. So for the commandments, being fully settled and capable of holding complete provinces, Norska had a full set of commandments added into them. Resources, wine, furs, and everything in between. Norska can now construct buildings to exploit them, and capital targets. So with new forces of order come new cities to raise for unique benefits. The Kurgan hordes have never taken Wei Jin, but perhaps they only lacked a unifying iron fist. So lovely to see. To tie us off, let's off the question on everyone's mind. This is not the Norsca rework. As I was pretty much saying, remember they said that they're going to give them a full-fledged rework, and this is not it. These changes are about freeing Norska from the shackles. Oh, come on. Is that a Skyrim joke? Freeing Norska from the shackles of their outposts and giving them a taste of the fresh new powers of the Dark Gods in Warhammer 3. So, that is lovely. So that's it for now, but check back soon for more updates and more Empire's news, and be sure to join us on August 23rd to see all the changes for yourself. Oh, so it's August 23rd, not 24th. Why did I think 24th? Is something coming out on August 24th that's important? Probably. Who knows? I'm a dumb human, so let's just move on from there. So there you go, guys. We have covered pretty much all those 4 factions, getting a nice little uplift here in Warhammer 3 when Immortal Empires lands August 23rd. So thank you guys so much for watching here today. I didn't do a poll question, but I'll save it. We're too late in the video, so I don't think most people have gotten this way this far anyway. Most people leave by now. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here. If you have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to see as far as these race updates go, something that you think maybe, you know what, hey, it's great that CA did these 4, but I really think Bretonnia needs a nice little upkick again, or maybe the Dwarfs definitely do. Whatever you think it is, let it be known in the comment section below. Always love to see how you guys feel towards a lot of these little updates and stuff like that. But again, as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and take care.